here. Unfortunately, due to the Hex Flash bug, Hex Flash is not available for the rest of 11.11. So just note that could change up the champion alignments here, as already, man, quick pick and ban, AD carry, support or potential flex, and the rumble for JDG.
So already we're seeing pretty much what I kind of expected on both sides, right? TT getting the creme de la creme of AD carries on this patch in the Varus, and going to be going down towards Sam D. When we look over at JDG, we already highlighted the Sett coming in for Zoom in that top lane. I think Zoom is one of the best sets that we have in the league. Agreed. And when we pair it with this champion that we're talking about, like the Rumble, you got a lot of potential for early ganks. The level 6 that you were pointing at, Hysterics, can be so damn strong with this combo. So I'm very excited to see how they start to look towards skirmishes and plays up towards the top side of the map. TT now will lock in the Lee Sin. There's just so much flexibility, right? It can go to captain, it can go to Langx in the top lane. Xiaopeng as well has looked spectacular on this Lee Sin pick in the past, so not surprised to see that locked in.
And seeing the bottom lane here for TT, just a bit of fun there. I've been looking at the new Tahm Kench Dagda, and I'm really going to get confused here, seeing that like Tongue Lash doesn't immediately set you off. I don't know if you've seen the new patch notes on new Tahm Kench, but as the bigger he gets, the tongue gets longer, so something exciting to look forward to. On the other side, I'll bring us back on track. I don't want to take you down the deep end. We do have a Jhin from Loken, something that we don't actually see too much this day, but poke versus poke, we got a bit of range down in that bottom lane.
Yeah, it's still kind of surprising though, because when I look at the AD carries that are on this patch, right, Jhin doesn't kind of stand out as one of the top picks. I mean, we've seen a lot of the Kaisas, even the Zayas, Tristanas, so surprised to see them lock that in early. I actually would have probably preferred to see them lock in something comfortable for Yagao. Like, his two big picks for me have been the Twisted Fate, which was banned like 70% of the time against them in spring, and also the Zoe. And I think you could have locked in potentially the Zoe here and looked for some mid lane bans, but it looks like they want to try and keep that open regardless. We're going to get a bit of respect towards LvMao there. The guy who created a Bard meta in the LPL in summer will have the Bard taken away from him.
And it's such an impressive 2v2 lane. I like the bans here from TT. The Nautilus on top of it as well, just to kind of hone in on the Tahm, especially when, you know, in the Tahm Varus matchup, we talk about Tahm Kench because of his saving graces towards his AD carry. So we get away some of those engaging supports, Dagda. What do you want to see now from a JDG? Do we go back to the mid lane?
I think you still have to go towards some sort. Well, you could try and go towards some sort of enchanter support, but with like the Karma and the Lulu already taken off the board, you're already down the list of kind of the enchanters that you would really like to go towards, and the Bard gone too. So I wouldn't be surprised if we end up going back towards something like the Alistair, or maybe even this Gragas actually could be the one that's going in towards the bottom side of the map here.
True, that's right, because we know LvMao's champion pool again. We don't have to harp on it. Excuse me, a bit of fun. Late jungle as a potential. Remember that Lee Sin can still go towards the lane. And something that could go to captain or Langx. So Udyr gets locked in here. Strong jungle when you consider against Rumble. A lot of the pro players favor this matchup, thinking that Udyr's just going to be faster, more powerful, and quicker to some of the lanes.
Yeah, so there's a couple of different things going on here. So for the Gragas, obviously we're looking at the ability to knock back both the Varus and the Tahm Kench in these engages, so you get kind of a 2-for-1 special with the ultimate. And as you said, Udyr works wonderful against the Rumble. A lot of teams start to pick this up in MSI as a counter, fast, clear. You can duel incredibly well against the Rumble, and as well still provide that front line that can be such a nuisance for them. Looking at the Aatrox though coming in for Langx, so the captain taking that Lee Sin in the mid. I'm not entirely surprised the Sett Lee Sin matchup not quite going the way the Lee Sin would like that lane to go. Sett able to survive quite a lot of the damage, so they're going to be taking the Aatrox up there, but still leaves that top lane vulnerable to some of these early dives that we were potentially talking about.
It really does. I look forward to the level 6 mark here, Dagda. You know, the culling that comes through, the equalizer you talked about. It does look like Zoom's going to be holding on to the Sett up here as well. So Gragas stays to LvMao, which means we do get the engage that was not lacking, but wanted to facilitate the rest of JDG's comp. It looks like a JDG comp in spirit as well. It's just also, we got a question, you know, how does the bottom lane go with Gragas, with Jhin? That can be a little bit more volatile to a lane that's going to poke you out with the Varus.
Yeah, as you kind of pointed out before, though, a lot of poke back and forth in this lane, right? You've got the Deadly Flourish versus the Arrow. So I think here you're just going to have kind of a little poke back and forth, not too much happening. I still expect a lot of pressure to be going towards that top side of the map. And certainly when you look at this JD Gaming composition, they are looking to hammer home in that mid game. Like when you've got 2 items on your Lucian, your Jhin, your Sett, your Rumble all coming online with that Night Harvester, this is where JDG are strongest and where they'll be looking to try and fight against everything that TT have to offer.
Because I think looking at TT on the other end, Dagda, you see things like the Aatrox to play at angles here and get JDG in a potential 5v5, right? Like, you also can use the range from Varus. There are a lot of tools here, and I'll be asking you more about it as we go in. But getting into game number 1 for TT, this is about setting the bar, setting the expectation, using Captain here in this first game and hopefully the series, and building the roster up. A lot of big names on here that have been around in the LPL for a couple of years, and their expectations shouldn't be as low as we've set them. Welcome to Summoner's Rift. The LPL day number 4 starts off here with TT on blue and JDG on red for their first ever LPL game this summer.
Try to wait and see if we get the gyros. Not 100%.
Yeah, we don't get the audio, Dagda. We're not spoiled as we are in the studio as you were.
I know.
I mean,
already getting some trading up here in the top lane, and also in this jungle.
LvMao, bit of trouble. Hail of arrows comes through, and I'm sure our audience can hear the gyos as crowd's packed out. I mean, it's not our biggest day, but still, teams like JDG have a big following. I think TT has amassed some followers as well with people like Xiaopeng and Sam D from V5 in the previous year. But Dagda, into the game, and, you know, very excited to be here. That's why I'm a bit of rambling. I want to ask you a little bit about the mid-game you talked about as, oh my god, it's a level 1 with Tahm Varus. Loken flashes over the wall, Patch not willing to commit, but TT, never mind the discussion, Dagda, that was just aggressive.
That was just wonderful. I mean, Jhin in the bush, making sure that they're able to catch JDG, who are going the shortest way to the lane. And now Loken, he's pushed right the way back. So you've already got a lane here that Xiaopeng's going to be pretty happy to try and play around. But he is pathing towards that top side. So he'll need to make his way back down here if he wants to make sure he can secure a scuttle. Because top side between Yagao and Zoom, they'll have full control for JDG over that top scuttle.
Yeah, at the very least, you already see, especially Yagao towards the mid lane, pushing out with the CS advantage. Bottom lane, that's where the power begins at the very least. I'm curious to watch this one a little bit more, Dagda, because you can see the wave pushing up. Level 2 hit first from Sam D and Patch. So Kanavi heading towards the top side, as we talked about in our opening segment. This is where he loves to play around, look towards Zoom's lane. That is actually pushing in as well, Dagda. So a Zoom in a great state to even this one out, or let Langx overextend.
Yeah, Zoom is the best top laner we have at controlling waves, and this is the kind of stuff that he does, where he's like, cool, I can coordinate with Kanavi, and now Langxing's stuck between a rock and a hard place. He needs to go for this cannon, and he's probably going to die for it.
Yeah, and he gets face breakered in. That means the stun comes through. Flash needs to come out with the Elytra Harpoon. It's matched by Kanavi for first blood. We called it, Dagda, and JDG executed.
And we knew it was coming, right? You knew that this was what JDG want to do. They've been playing so heavily around Zoom. Previously, you've got the perfect combo here. And now for Langx, you have no flash. You are a sitting duck. And especially when Yagao has full control mid, you can get a 3-man dive in topside.
And they managed to get away the scuttle as well. Captain Sonic Wave, Resonating Strike, he follows through with this, but it's Rumble in the jungle. Captain has to flash away, and even with an Udyr, you don't want to stick around here. Captain was feeling ambitious, but Lee Syndrome, it struck again.
Yeah, especially when you're against Rumble early. Didn't even need to overheat, but you can see the amount of damage that comes from this Rumble in the early stages is insane. You do not want to be trying to fight against Kanavi, even in these 2v2 skirmishes. So they end up backing away. You even had Zoom on his way down, but JDG off to a nice start here, and unfortunately for TT, that top side not looking as hot.
Yeah, it's really not, is it? You know, the assist going onto Zoom helps him get the Ruby Crystal and the longsword we see there. Also note that we have the first blood onto Kanavi, who still hasn't backed, still clearing away, but is going to have that extra piece of gold to get closer towards a Hex Tech Alternator, which feels like the natural progression path that we'll see coming out earlier rather than later. Dagda, I want to ask you more about mid lane here. Yagao in a bit of a CS lead after Captain had to burn the flash, but that's almost 15 CS. The wave building up as well. Cripple comes through, good bit of damage, but Yagao kites it back after getting hit, but still he'll be able to stay in the wave and continue holding this CS path.
Yeah, so essentially the way you want to try and play this as captain is you kind of take the brunt of the damage until you hit that level 3. And once you do, you can see access to having your W means you can go aggressive on towards Yagao, force him back. You've got the E to clear the wave, and then you just try and sustain your way back into it. So this is where Yagao has to put some more manners on himself and be careful that he's not falling prey to captain. Certainly with this level 6 coming up soon, there's a lot of shenanigans that can happen between Xiaopeng flashing on towards Yagao, or even captain getting some nice kicks like we saw from Doomby yesterday.
At least you feel comfortable knowing Captain burnt the flash earlier, so you have a bit of time to play with until Captain's able to make that kick flash work. He can still use the ward hop anyway, but TT, meanwhile, pick up the dragon on the bottom side of the map as you see on your screen. Kanavi going for the reverse invade. And Langx burnt his flash before there, we saw Dagda, so has to play this super safe, because if he's caught out again, this looks like free turret plating, this looks like more topside control, and almost a guaranteed Rift Herald coming up, as Kanavi spots out Xiaopeng after getting this prop.
Yeah, and what Kanavi's trying to do right now is just force Xiaopeng out of this top lane, because you can see the big wave that Zoom has built up. Yagao is full control mid, and now they can start to teeter up towards this top side and look for a potential dive on Langx. And even if they don't kill Langx, they can at least keep him honest.
Kanavi just going face first. Langx won't get the follow-up, and he takes the blast code over. That was ambitious to say the least, and luckily Kanavi will get out.
I mean, Kanavi's going again. I think it's round 2 here. They really want to deny Langx this wave.
Yeah, it really does. It's the ruse, as this wave is massive. Look at the size of it, Dagda. Zoom's built this up huge. And Kanavi, how close is he to 6? That's the new question. Turret plating shared, while Scuttlecrab being fought over, while Yagao, level 6 here, looking for the relentless pursuit. But it doesn't get the double shot to secure Scuttle. It does go to Xiaopeng, who gets his last smite, and Langx survives in the top lane meanwhile.
God, I think Langx is breathing a sigh of relief there. The fact he got the wave, and you could see because Captain Xiaopeng were moving up top, they were able to make sure Langx wasn't getting dove. And now TT, they can look to counterpunch, right? Their strong side of the map is on this bottom side. They have Patch move in. They have Sam D who can move across as well. So they're going to start up this blue buff.
And Kanavi's still not level 6 as well if they want to contest. JDG are moving into position. Yagao has that culling available as well. Eaten up as the blue buff patch gets knocked around. Blue goes to the Tahm. Kench, who has to absorb with the shield. There's the culling finally from Yagao as JDG push them away, but it's an invade, it's resources, and TT win out.
Yeah, you can see TT didn't want to overcommit there. Zoom still had his teleport to get down to that fight. Didn't want to use it too early because, as you can see, the wave is pushing in onto Zoom in that top lane. But they get the blue buff, they get what they came for, and it's going to make things a little bit more difficult for Yagao. Because when you're trying to continuously clear this wave, you're going to burn through your mana. Whereas the Lee Sin, so much easier to continuously use that E that you're going to be maxing to shove in this wave and then try and get access to these side lanes.
That's right, it just destroys, and the damage is immense. A lot of people who've been playing this Lee lane understand. A 14 CS down in the meanwhile, though. Look at top side, 10 CS down in favor of Zoom. Jungle down in CS, but Kanavi has the kill to really balance it out as he went for the Sorcerer Shoes first. And now has the level 6 Dagda, so I'm curious, because you and I talked about the mid-game. We talked about these 2 items that are going to be huge on these AD carries, but even more so on people like the Rumble, right, who have some of the greatest mid-games. As he starts off Herald here, JDG could be in a favorable position.
Yeah, you've got everyone starting to approach on this Rift Herald. Varus a little bit further away than Loken, especially because of the curtain calls. TT, I think you just got to back away from this. Like, the top side is far too strong for JDG, and looks like they're going to honor that.
And they could actually just look towards the top side. You know, we've already seen the pressure that Zoom exerts. Yagao in the mid lane as well with a bit of a gold lead. Dagda, I want to say that I loved gold being next to the champion portraits. It saves so much time.
It's really good. I love it.
I'm sick of waiting for the X button to be pressed in spectator mode, so it helps out quite a lot as Captain Sonic Wave. There he goes. He has the flash, but he burns one on the side of Loken instead. And that was a nice move from the mid laner of TT.
Smart as well from Captain, not trying to burn that flash too quickly, knowing that, hey, look, realistically, I'm not going to be able to do too much with it, but you have to respect it as Loken, so gets that bottom lane flash. Meanwhile, topside, though, the 2v2 continues.
Facebreaker comes in, though, right over the equalizer. There's the smash down to Kanavi. Stops with the counter gank, and Xiaopeng has to back away.
Yeah, so nothing coming of it, but no real damage, I'm surprised, coming out from the 2v2 there. I thought Zoom and Kanavi, when we actually saw that combo land, I was expecting those health bars to diminish, but you can see there the amount of healing that can come through from Langx. Xiaopeng as well being fairly tanky on the Udyr means you can't really go for the 2v2, and now Captain, knowing that he's free to go aggressive mid, is going to get some plates for himself, and we're starting to see the tides turn a bit in that mid lane fight.
We really are, and we're starting to see Xiaopeng putting a lot of pressure on the map. It wasn't just a topside play, it was roaming through mid as well. It was making sure his presence was known. Now towards the bottom side, and JDG have to play safe again. And need I remind the audience, it's only a 400 gold lead, and it is the CS lead we've been talking about in lanes, but on top of the kill, right? But Xiaopeng is starting to control the map, and now with opportunity mid, Yagao flashes away again after Xiaopeng moves out of the brush.
And you can see how scared they are of this Lee Sin, right? So many options when it comes to how you want to play this. You don't actually have to overcommit as the Lee Sin, and you get the flash burn once again. Now Xiaopeng, this might be a bit of a curious spot.
Kanavi about to overheat though. Captain still has his flash and the Dragon's Rage, and look at the poke that's coming out of Sam D. He has the serrated Dirk, and it's going to hurt if JDG
on the way,
Kanavi. There's the equalizer in the middle of the pit, the culling there too. It's high noon as Patch starts taking all the damage into the middle of it. Smite comes down, it's secured by TT, but this fight is messier than my bedroom when I was 12. As another kill goes over to Kanavi, burning to a crisp. Langx in the middle of it as well. Turns all the way down for TT with a 5-1 start for JDG.
Yeah, Captain even forced the TP out of here, so he will get away, but that was not the fight from TT. The way TT want to approach these fights is looking for some sort of pick beforehand. If you end up in a 5v5 versus JDG, this composition is far too strong to just go toe-to-toe against. So instead, they should be looking to see, okay, cool, can we separate someone and almost opt into sort of skirmish styles where you can get the kick from the Lee Sin, the flash stun, or even the chains from Varus to lock people up. But you can see they're just being melted in the pit by that culling, and even though Yagao goes down to Captain, the damage is already done. Zoom shows up again, separated out of this fight with Kanavi pushing people off on that top side, and there's nothing you can do here as TT.
I just love the target selection and JDG honing down on the target that was, you know, not in threat of turning around and destroying Sam D, right? Destroying Loken, excuse me. Or a target that could really hone in on someone like Kanavi. But the point I'm saying as well is, in that fight, Captain the only one to pick up a kill, but JDG take target after target after target, as now, with the Rift Herald in the mid lane, Loken's going to be absorbing most of this gold. Kanavi alongside him as well. Xiaopeng walking up to the wave. But Patch luckily saves the day. Turret won't get the kill, but at the very least, or Herald rather, Dagda, a lot of damage done, and now it's about a flicker of health.
Yeah, and Sam D isn't really going to be able to trade this either. Actually getting teleported on.
No. Sam D has his ultimate available, going to use it onto Yagao, but he stays in place. Equalizer takes him, and Sam D face breakers for the kill. Nice TP play from JDG, considering there's nothing on the map available right now.
Yeah, and it means they can pick up a good amount of these turret plates as well. A minute left before they drop. You've got Zoom down on this bottom side, and you can see JDG now, they get this lead, and they know exactly how they want to try and fire through it. Use the fact that you've got these summoner spells, pick off people, now get the deep vision. Make it really hard for TT to stick around and try and save this mid lane turret, especially when it's so low. Zoom now becoming a menace on the side lane with that stride breaker completed. This is going to become incredibly hard for TT to stop both the side lane push and the 4-man push from the rest of JDG.
Which is why you're talking about the mid game for this team. JDG's composition when it gets a lead, when it starts snowballing, Lucian, Jhin, Rumble, right? And even Sett to a degree we know can be abusive at all times in the game, but those three champions I listed before, they feel so good with those 1-2 items as Yagao has right now. Look at the pathing here. Captain zones himself up, or rather gets the angle, as now the Dragon's Rage almost kills Yagao, but he gets out with a slither, and Kanavi picks up Captain. It was a noble attempt, Dagda, but unfortunately the cavalry arrived from JDG.
I like what TT are trying to do though, right? You have a composition that does really well if you're trying to pick people off. You've got Patch who can come in from multiple angles, like Lee Sin kicks, Xiaopeng as well, being able to get these stuns. Like, this is what you need to try and do to slow down JDG and get this game back in your favor, but unfortunately for them, execution wasn't quite there, and now Kanavi's hovering mid.
And Sam D's walked into the trap, flash forward, oh no! Kanavi probably didn't even need to flash, but it's insult to injury at this point. It's securing the kill. It's a 5-0-3, 100% kill participation Rumble that is dominating the jungle game.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a reason this Rumble has 100% presence, right? You can see that early damage in the 2v2 skirmishes is absolutely insane. When it gets to the later point of the game as well, they look just so damn strong. Like, giving this to Kanavi kind of felt like a bit of a mistake. You can see how much pressure he's been able to have towards topside as well, and now he's sitting 5-0-3, a 10-stack Magi as well. He's going to be having a lot of fun this game.
Because remember, I was reflecting that Xiaopeng was keeping the gold lead at a decent point, right? And he was making sure lanes were being hovered. That was about 5 minutes ago when the gold lead was 800 or 400 gold difference. We saw that fight for the Dragon. JDG have had control ever since, and all of a sudden, it's ballooned into an almost 5,000 gold lead at 15 minutes in. Again, 100% kill participation. You pull up the Magi's there, Dagda, and Kanavi with the champion pool was a topic coming into this split because of how wide it is, because of how much options you have in the jungle now. Kanavi has a very wide champion pool. He has a lot of carrying potential. And in this first game back, it's good to see him in control of the Rift, playing like the king of the jungle he was once known as.
Yeah, and this is the thing. JDG, when they're ahead, are so damn clean. Like, look at what they're doing right now. You got Dragon coming up. They're going to shove down here, get full vision. They can potentially look for a 4-man play into bot side, or they can just back away towards the Dragon. But as TT, if you're trying to come in here and you're trying to look for these picks, you just don't have a chance to go for it. They know where you are at all points in time, and you even got Kanavi now who's just happy to solo it because he knows that TT got to be on that top side.
You'll move to your first Dragon for JDG, but you don't give away Soul Point. You don't give away something that TT can play through to get back into this game. Because Dagda, even if this delays out, with the lead that they have, with the double AD carry, it just feels like it's always going to be hard to manage the siege that JDG have. And for JDG, equalizer, the culling, there's so much zoning here that if TT step in the wrong position as well, step too close to their own turret, they'll get punished for it pretty quick sticks with the lead they have.
Yeah, I feel like we got to give a name to this combo between like the Rumble and the Lucian, right? Because you've got like the red carpet. So is Lucian now the lights for the red carpet when he tosses the culling down on top of this? How this works. I feel like those two could absolutely rip apart someone if they get just that 1-2 punch coming through and they're able to just run you over with it. But either way, we're going to be looking to see now what's going to be happening as Xiaopeng maybe thinking of a gank here in the bottom side. Yagao very alone under this tower, but they realize, hang on a second, we've given a heap of pressure up in this mid lane. We're going to need to move members back as JDG are looking to collapse. Yeah,
what are they going to do from here is the next question, because Xiaopeng caught in the middle, Captain flashes away. Xiaopeng now meets with LvMao, who gets him rooted down, helped thankfully because of Loken. Yagao sprints forward as High Noon once again equalize it down. It all feels over at this point. 10 kills to 1, 17 minutes in, and JDG had taken the scraps away from TT.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is not even an uphill battle at this stage. It feels like you've just got to scale Everest. Like, you're 10-1 in kills. You've got a 5,000 or 6,000 gold lead already in favor of JDG. And we're only 17 minutes in. They're going to be able to get so much more still on the map with all these towers that are still up. You can see Zoom and Kanavi pushing in bot. You've got the rest of the team pushing in mid. Like, it's so hard to stop JDG from this point.
Really is. It's also the compliments towards their gameplay that we have seen many a split ago, and you know the starts that we see from JDG a lot of the time, right? Is LvMao with the blast code just cuts off Xiaopeng, and it's hard to see what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, the ward placement here from JDG to try and set up these plays is absolutely insane. You can see like they're more than willing to just commit these teleports to make these picks happen. And don't forget, like, we're still looking at JDG, who are in a prime position to take team fights as well. They have the stronger team fight composition. So when we get to things like Baron and that, it's going to be really difficult to fight. Now, the saving grace for TT, of course, is that they've actually managed to pick up 2 of those early dragons. So JDG haven't started stacking and racking all of these dragons and potentially looking for a dragon soul, which does give some opportunity for TT to maybe try and stall at this game and look for picks. But as you said, that dream feels so far away at this stage.
That's at least what they want to do in the top side. Xiaopeng spotted out by a Scrying Waters. Yagao was on the chase by a World Ender Langx. But look how far up they've gone in the lane. JDG threatened to punish, maybe don't make the full commit, but this gives them time to set up around the Baron buff, which has felt like a year in spawning. The way this game was going, JDG looked like a team that should have had Baron ages ago, but the Purple Worm His appointment's at 20 minutes, so we've got another 40 seconds to wait and see how JDG want to proceed and how they can threaten TT into their lair, right? They have a lot of face checking, Dagda, but JDG have a lot of burst too.
You can see the TP coming in from Yagao though. Like, JDG went a hard commit for this mid lane, and multiple members of TT here, but look, they're just being forced away instantly by that equalizer.
And there's Zoom, the raid boss, in the back end as well. In a turret, that's going to drop too. JDG moved the gold lead up to about 6,000. Baron up in 10 seconds. Vision control is theirs, bar a couple of control wards to make some cheeky TPs. Maybe that's the ray of hope, but JDG, we know, have been smart so far. Don't need to force too much more.
And again, like, look at the vision control that they're just leaving on the way out, right? It means that it's so difficult for TT to try to mount anything. Now, this will be the Rift Tower going down in mid. Might be able to take this mid lane turret since we do have Loken and base, but Curtain Call is available if JDG want to try and make something happen.
Rift Tower's so close, Sam D needs to step up, but he can't with Gragas. There's the explosive cast patch.
Zoom.
Eats him up and zooms on the back end. There's the showstopper in. Langx separated from his family. And he's about to become an orphan if Yagao has his way with him, as flashing over. Langx tries to turn around. LvMao with a body slam. Not enough damage has been done as the curtain call will line down, but the equalizer. Oh, if it was a little bit earlier, TT would have had to walk so much more over it. They get away. A lot of ultis used, actually all of them from JDG. And now Captain can split push with a bit less fear.
That's a bit of a win there for TT, though, because if anyone had gone down there, you just feel like JDG are turning straight over towards that Baron, right? With the amount of damage this Rumble has right now, Yagao as well, they can tear through that thing, but Yagao now pushing on towards Captain, just keeping the top side safe, but, like, one pick nearly costing so much there for TT.
But at the very least, JDG will be back in time for Dragon. TT still don't want to fight them outright. Pick being set up on this top side. Xiaopeng spotted out again, though, was... Excuse me, Yagao actually has a scrying bloom, but oh my lord. That was, I wouldn't say that was fancy footwork, Dagda. I'd say that was weird, but Yagao gonna be happy he survives.
Yeah, I think he was trying to predict the dash a lot quicker, but a bit too fast on the trigger finger, or Yagao was a bit too slow, you know? Column A, column B. But I think overall, like, still you can see TT, they're not rolling over here. They want to see if they can make the picks happen. They want to see if they're actually able to try and find opportunities to slow down this game and get themselves back into it. But, I mean, for JDG, again, we already talked about it, they're kind of struggling to find ways to force TT out of this turret, because they don't really have dragons that you have to fight for. You can see TT just gifting that dragon over there. They're not really able to just brute force their way into the enemy jungle, because you do have to be careful of splitting out into these potential skirmishes or into the given a pick opportunity across the TT where they're actually stronger. So right now, JDG are kind of waiting in the long term until these objectives come up and they can actually try and force TT out of their own base.
I also like on the other end that TT are not making that rookie mistake, right? While JDG might be patient, JDG might be, you know, waiting for that long con. TT are looking for opportunities themselves, and I think that gets the respect for this game that looks so far blown out that JDG should win it at any second. Even the positioning here, Captain not overstepping. He might have walked past the wall, but he's still near his turret. LvMao needs a great explosive cast to get him. And get him they will not, as they start moving towards the Baron. JDG with 3 top, 1 mid. Zoom going back to the side lane, Dagda, and things still slow at the 23-minute mark.
Yeah, they're going to try and see if they can shove in this mid once more and try and collapse onto this top turret with that wave, but looks like TT are going to give it up and not try and contest, and I think that's the right call right now. Like, there's no need to try and over-force thing if you don't need to, but now, with that recall coming in, TT are activated. But
LvMao cancels it over a wall. They spot him out. The Abyssal Voyage there, but Patch is by himself. Equalizer with a Lucian. Patch has no friends this time around, and JDG get the first kill. Zoom has already teleported into the play. LvMao explosive cast doesn't connect, but Sam D ends up burning the flash. There's a nice little deadly flourish, but no connection with the root, as there's the ulti as well. Xiaopeng's caught Yagao. That's a good step from TT, but being burnt to a crisp is not what you want. JDG still hover over, take the kills in the end in a favorable trade, and Zoom is an absolute menace that takes no damage as the Sonic Wave comes on in, but Zoom has Stride Breaker, Face Breaker, Haymaker. That's the Daymaker if JDG can take it. Flash forward from Loken. Is there a Deadly Flourish? 5 minutes for a Deadly Flourish, 4 minutes, 3 minutes. I count in seconds, as it was so close. We almost got the snipe there, and ladies and gentlemen, JDG, they still won the fight. Baron's still on the menu.
It was messy, but as you said, JDG managed to come out on top. Now they can turn over towards this barn if they want to, but you do have Xiaopeng is about to spawn in just up. Langx as well has spawned, but with no TP available, so it looks like instead everyone's going to back away again. So a kill going the way of JD is nice, but again, not really capitalizing with anything more.
That's true, but Dagda, let me just put everything out the window and tell you, 25 stacks on Maji's. Worth. Everything is worth. That's a third. But again, he has 100% kill participation. Kanavi's actually smurfing this game. But we will look again because TT made the play through Patch's ulti.
Yeah, and unfortunately, Patch kind of jumped a bit too far forward there. Meant that the rest of TT weren't in a position to try and follow up. They had no other vision to be like, okay, cool, let's go. But here, nice sidestep from Sam D and Captain. If they hadn't, this might have been a lot worse because they would have just been run over, but they do get one pick onto Yagao. Xiaopeng and the rest of the team will follow, and it was unfortunate at the end of it. I think Captain trying to bring that fight back actually ended up costing them far more against JDG there.
I like what's happening though in live though. Captain's been spotted out. There is nowhere that's safe from the vision as he gets rooted down and destroyed by Loken. The curtain call again. Patch is given to Mama Yagao. And 2 already dead. TT no this time. Baron's definitely on the menu.
Yeah, and there's no way that you can try and get in here as TT. Now, just a reminder to folks, 11-11, the smite is capped at 900. That is the same for both junglers. No longer going to have the level difference and all that, but regardless, Xiaopeng has no flash. He's not going to be able to get in here, but still, just bear in mind whenever we see these kind of Baron fights again, that there is always that 50-50 chance of a steal.
Yeah, something good to keep in mind as we go throughout the night ahead, but Baron picked up in the end, 10k gold lead, another Infernal Dragon that'll make Soul point. Do we get to Infernal Soul for JDG? It's a big question that probably be answered within the next 5 minutes, right? Every fight looking worse and worse for TT. I'm still surprised they're in the game, and I think that's the fact that they have been holding out with some of these picks. They have been looking aggressively with Xiaopeng and Captain. I don't think they've had a horrible game. I just think Kanavi's always been there. We've always had that attention coming through from Zoom. And JDG have played the map state better as now moving all guards down to the bottom lane, pushing in as 5 alongside Zoom with the Baron buff.
Yeah, and this is going to be impossible to stop. JDG are just going, right, cards on the table, we are just stronger than you and we're just going to force this down. Zoom can tank up these turrets so damn easily. You've a heap of burst damage and long range damage that can come through from the curtain call and the equalizer, hell, even the culling as well, so they just decide to go for it.
Zone control's scary. I like that point a lot, Dagda, as they're pushing on here. Down Xiaopeng, who's at half health. The equalizer tags him down with the Night Harvester proc. He will not die, but Xiaopeng has to spend the time going back as LvMao takes a Sonic Wave. Resonating strike there from Captain, not yet, but he's positioning for the angle. He needs to get in and get a 3-man kick at least for TT to have any chance, but Captain, he's been caught out a little bit, takes half his health, and JDG is still running away.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to back away fine. They'll take a little bit of a bonus prize on the way out, but might be looking for more.
LvMao's been seen. He's seen by Division there. Has to flush away in the end as Captain's moved all the way to the middle of the fight. But JDG have found him as well. Xiaopeng low health bar once again as Zoom has gotten in. The Haymaker comes in and Patch will go down. Xiaopeng running for his life while JDG take a whopping amount of damage from Sam D. But the audience is saying it's not enough.
I love that TT's mid laner is taken to heart and Captain goes down with his ship, because no matter what he goes with the play, and now Langx might do the same.
No, he flashed in a straight line, Dagda. No! Zoom, meanwhile, is taking care of business every day with Sam D. JDG on top of the last member. That's Xiaopeng. And as he gets eliminated, they're going to run it towards the Nexus. 28 minutes. 20 kills to 2, and look at the man in the jungle. Kanavi with 18 out of 20 kill participation is a legendary game 1 for him.
Nice welcome back to LPL for Kanavi. I mean, no deaths, 25 stacks of that Magi's. The story is already writing itself for what could potentially be a strong summer split for JDG, but of course, is up against TT. We were waiting to see a lot of what TT had to offer, and unfortunately for them, they had that early game where they tried to keep JDG in check, but the second it got towards objectives and they tried to take those team fights against JDG, it all went pear-shaped.
Yeah, it really did, and I have to give TT some respect here in this game for holding on as long as they did. It was a 28-minute game, and people were like, oh, that's short. They got absolutely smashed. Yes, but the plays through from Captain from Xiaopeng in some regards were what was keeping it such an elongated game. Impressive stuff from JDG though overall, and we have to look, Dagda, at a little bit at how that started, right? That game built up of the Zoom, Kanavi lane. We had those as our key players, and that early game was all about that top lane, all about how Zoom as well progressed in the fights alongside his jungler.
I genuinely believe that as we start to go on in the split, Sett's just going to become a must ban against Zoom. Like, Zoom is the best Sett that we have in the league right now, and he's been an absolute monster since day one that Sett came out. Now, I'm really looking forward to seeing as we go forward, though, if we get to see more of this play coming through from Kanavi and Zoom, because it definitely feels like this is where the early game power for JDG lies, where Zoom is incredibly smart at controlling his wave. He can offer up a lot for Kanavi, where how do you want to try and play your jungle? Cool, go for that full clear. He's been really good, as actually Kelsey Moser pointed out, for like pushing in on wave 4 rather than wave 3 on that top lane, which buys a heap of time for Kanavi to go for these full clears into dives, and it's been wonderful to see. So I think overall we're going to see more of this power from JDG, and then being able to transition that strength in towards team fights, especially with the carries that we're seeing in the jungle right now.
When there's just so many options towards top lane, towards, I mean, more importantly, towards jungle, right? The power picks that are available really feel like they sit in Kanavi's wheelhouse. Some of the champions that we know we can carry on, as Rumble's a great starting game for him. I think it's a really, really good sign from JDG. However, it is against TT here, and in Game 2, they need to do the exact same thing. We'll just have a little bit of a brief look over the stacks. Yes, folks, it was one-sided, but I want to point out, Sam D towards the end, he did what the lethality Varus should do. He was just poking them down. The problem is that JDG was so far ahead, and those ults just burnt down the front line in a matter of seconds.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised by some of the draft options coming through from TT, though. Like, the last minute Aatrox into the top lane, like, it's not like it has the best of times against the Sett anyway. And then when you add in the fact you've just made yourself super diveable, it was kind of a surprise for me. I think as well, if I'm looking at TT for game 2, I've kind of been harping on about this a little bit, but I want to see more synergy between Xiaopeng and Captain. It felt like Captain was like making these movements around the map, burning a whole bunch of flashes, but we never actually saw him working in conjunction with Xiaopeng to say like, hey, look, if we get a flash bear slap, or we even have a stun to follow up on this kick play, we can then get a lot more done. So I think certainly we're still seeing the issues that were there in spring when Captain was playing, that we're just not quite getting the strong mid jungle 2v2 that we were hoping for.
Because I don't think Captain was the issue. You're right, it's the communication there. We saw it in the mid lane play up around Raptors, where Captain actually goes in on the Sonic Wave, but Xiaopeng's not there to support him. So questions to be asked going towards game 2, folks. We are going to have a small little break, but when we return, TT and JDG, to see if TT have something to say to fight back